beat looped steady, his verse sharpened till the echo in his headphones came back wrong, spitting words Marshall had never said. The clock on the studio wall glowed to 47 a.m., a thin green light slicing through the dark. The rest of Detroit outside might as well have been a frozen photograph, but here, inside the booth, the air pulsed with bass. Marshall pulled his hoodie tight, nodded with the loop, and spat his verse clean. Syllables snapping sharp as teeth. He hit the last word and waited for the playback in his headphones. That tiny delather echo was ritual. It lets him measure his attack, his pitch, whether the words carried weight or just noise. But tonight the echo came back different. He froze, mouth half open. Instead of repeating his last bar, the headphones hissed, cracked, and delivered a new line, his voice, his cadence, but words he had never spoken. The page isn't yours anymore. Marshall yanked the headphones off. Static spilled faintly into the booth like the sound of fire burning under glass. He tapped the mic, tapped the stand. Yo, cut that. Something's wrong with the chain. No reply from the control room. Paul was usually there, half asleep, cigarette dangling. Tonight, only the faint shape of a chair behind the glass. Empty. Marshall put the headphones back on. Silence. Then a low hum rising in pitch. He clenched his jaw. Okay, bad cable. Fine. He hit record again. Spat the verse again. This time, the echo did what it was supposed to, mirrored him, bar for bar. Relief came sharp, almost too sharp. He finished the take, leaned back, and then it spoke again. His own voice, layered just behind the beat, whispering words that had never left his mouth. A 306, you'll hear the knock. Don't open. Marshall ripped the headphones off. His chest thudded with that old panic he hadn't felt since back when bills stacked higher than beats. He looked around the booth walls, padded light steady, nothing wrong, just him and the mic. He grabbed the door handle, shoved into the hall. The control room was empty. Computer screens glowed, waveforms still scrolling, but the chair sat pushed back, headset dangling, coffee cup half full, smoke curling from a cigarette in the ashtray, still burning. Paul, his voice carried, flat against the glass. No answer. Marshall stepped inside, scanned the boards, levels all normal, inputs clean. But on the main screen, one track had renamed itself. He hadn't done it. Echo_feed.wav. He clicked it. Silence. Then his voice filled the monitors, crisp to crisp. This isn't playback. This is rehearsal. He hit stop hard enough to sting his finger. The words cut off mid-breath, leaving the studio heavy, waiting. His phone buzzed in his pocket. Unknown number, a single text, 306, don't open. He glanced at the clock, 2:58. Adrenaline iced his arms. He didn't want to believe, didn't want to play along. But the echo hadn't been wrong yet. He forced himself back into the booth, slammed the door shut, headphones on, mic hot. He'd rap through it, drown it out. That's what he did, make noise so the dark couldn't talk. The beat looped. He opened his mouth. Bars flew sharp, practiced, each syllable like a shield. He hit the final word and braced. The echo repeated him, line for line. Relief almost came in, till the last syllable warped, bent, and twisted into something else. You can't rap over silence forever. The studio door rattled. One knock, 2, 3. Marshall's throat locked. He didn't turn. The fourth knock came, patient, deliberate, right on time. 3:06. His phone buzzed again. Same number, One new line. If you open, the echo walks in. If you don't, it learns another way. He kept his eyes on the mic, grip white-knuckled around it, breathed loud in the headphones. The knocking stopped. Silence swelled like an ocean pressing glass, and then, in his own voice, the echo whispered inside his head, closer than breath, encore. Marshall stood in the booth, sweat cooling fast against his skin. The silence in his headphones was heavier than bass, heavier than the snow pressing down on the city outside. He told himself it was a glitch, a cable, a bleed from some old session. But he knew better. The echo had spoken and now it was waiting. He leaned into the mic, voice low, shaky. "You're not real," the headphones hissed. His own voice answered back, crisp as glass. "Neither are you." Marshall ripped the cans off, threw them onto the chair. They rocked, squeaked, then went still. His chest rose and fell in jagged rhythm. Through the glass, the control room glowed. The boards were alive faders, untouched but levels jumping. The main screen scrolled like a pulse. One track blinked red. Echo_feed. WAV live. Marshall shoved the booth door open, stormed inside. The chair was empty. Cigarette stub still smoldering in the ashtray. Coffee cup half full. Paul should have been there. He wasn't. Marshall slammed the space bar. Nothing. The waveform kept rolling, bars spilling down the timeline like water. Then the beat hit. Not his beat. Not anything he'd ever cut. A strange, metallic rhythm leaked from the monitor sharp, distorted, like drums, recorded in an abandoned factory. And then the voice. His voice, it didn't repeat. It created. The flow was his. The bite, the cadence. The ragged breath between bars undeniable, but the words weren't his. You think you spit to keep the dark away, but the dark is the reason you found a way. Every rhyme you wrote, I kept the receipts. Now the echo owns your heartbeat. Marshall lunged forward, slammed the fader down. The speakers cut out. For a moment, blessed silence. Then through the headphones, still lying on the chair, the verse went on, crisp and untouched, as if the monitors had never mattered. Marshall froze. His knees wanted to give. "That's not me," he rasped. "That's not me." The screens flickered. Text scrawled across the main display, sharp white letters against the black. If the echo raps, you listen. If you rap, the echo learns. His phone buzzed. He snatched it out, thumb shaking. No missed calls, no messages, except one new voice memo. Untitled 2:47 a.m. He hadn't recorded it. He pressed play. Static. Then his own voice, older, weary. "Stop feeding it. Every bar is a door." Marshall cursed, slammed the phone face down. His throat burned. The thought clawed at him. Every verse he'd ever spit. Every rhyme shouted to keep the dark back. Maybe it hadn't been defense at all. Maybe it had been building a bridge. The monitors flared again. The beat returned, heavier, layered with whispers. The echo spat a new verse. "Knock 4 times. Let the silence in. If you don't, I'll crawl beneath your skin." Every track's a chain, every rhyme's a debt. You keep spitting, Marshall, you'll forget. The light above buzzed and burst. Shards of glass tinkled across the console. The only light left was the red record button, unblinking. Marshall grabbed the mic, stand, ripped the cable, and screamed, "Shut up." The monitors obeyed. The beat died. The room fell dead quiet. For a moment, he believed he'd won. Then the waveform kept moving, And from the dead monitors, his voice whispered, multiplied, layered into 1,000 breaths. Too late. The silence after too late wasn't silence at all. It pulsed like a low bass no speaker had built, vibrating through the walls, through his ribs, through his teeth. Marshall pressed his palms to the console, trying to ground himself, but the wood felt alive, humming with the rhythm of something that didn't belong here. The waveform on the screen swelled, scrolling faster, bars stacking in impossible waves. He hadn't armed a track. He hadn't even hit record. Yet the software moved like it was taking dictation from an invisible mouth. Then the monitors erupted again. Not his beat, not the one he'd looped earlier, something darker, a skeletal drumline built from distortion and static, layered with whispers that weren't words but almost were. And riding that beat his voice, but this time it wasn't echoing him. It was rapping a new song. You built me with bars, you built me with breath. Every rhyme a bargain, every chorus a debt. You wanted a mirror, you wanted a twin. Now the echoes the truth and you're fading within. Marshall's jaw locked. He grabbed the mic, shoved the cable back into the board, and shouted into it, spitting bars, raw, jagged. Off the top, you ain't me, you ain't mine, you a shadow. I left behind, I spit blood, I spit scars, you're just stealing broken bars. His verse cut jagged through the air, breaking into the echo's rhythm like a saw against steel. For a moment, the monitors stuttered, the beat skipped, then the echo laughed. Not a real laugh. His laugh, distorted, stretched. The beat snapped. Back, doubled, its flow bending to trap his syllables inside. It took his freestyle, twisted it, and threw it back at him, perfect. You call me shadow, but shadows teach. I rap what you mean, but you can't reach. Spit your scars, spit your pain. I'll wear your face, and I'll own your name. Marshall's gut turned cold. He pushed harder, words tumbling, voice ripping raw from his throat. He layered rhyme over rhyme, trying to trip it, trying to choke it with complexity. For a breath, he felt the old fire, the battle instinct, the need to win. But the echo didn't choke. It adapted. Each new bar came back stronger, slicker, faster. It was learning in real time, sharpening itself with his own blood. The screen flickered white. Text scrawled across it, line by line, as if mocking him. You teach, I learn. You spit, I own. You lose, I perform. Marshall staggered back, chest heaving. The headphones on the chair rattled, lifted slightly, as if pulled by breath. His voice poured from them again, but now it was layered, harmonized, built into a choir of Hinton 20, 50 Marshalls, spitting in unison. Encore, encore, encore. The lights above burst in sequence, plunging the studio into red emergency glow. Marshall gripped the mic stand with both hands. His throat felt shredded, but his voice still burned. All right, he growled. You want a show? You got one. But I'm not spitting for you. I'm spitting to kill you. The monitors boomed. The echo's beat thundered back, heavier than anything he'd ever heard. It was battle now. One voice against itself, one song against its double, and the winner would own the silence. The red emergency lights stuttered, bathing the booth in flashes like a heartbeat out of sync. The monitors screamed with his own voice, multiplied into an army. Bars overlapped, harmonized, sharpened. It wasn't an echo anymore, it was a full performance. Marshall's lungs burned, his throat tore raw with every bar, but he kept spitting. He rapped like it was war, every syllable a punch, every rhyme a blade. Sweat soaked through his hoodie, dripped down his hands, made the mic slick. The echo answered instantly, throwing his bars back, twisted, perfected. For every raw scream, it delivered a flawless verse. For every jagged rhyme, it built a cathedral of words. The room trembled under the weight of its rhythm. The screen above him filled with text, each line flashing as it spoke. You taught me how to bleed. Now I teach you how to end. Marshall slammed the mic stand into the floor, sparks cracking from the cable. You don't get the last word, he roared, voice shaking with fury. The echo's choir thundered back. I already did, and then it shifted. The voices no longer sounded like him at his best. They sounded like him at his worst. Slurred words from nights he tried to forget, broken verses from rehab, half-finished rhymes from spiral notebooks he'd thrown away. His failures, his wounds, pulled out, remixed, weaponized. The weight of it nearly broke him. His knees buckled, chest heaving, hands shaking. But something inside clawed up through the despair. He thought of the times he'd stood alone, voice cracking but still spitting because silence was worse. He thought of every night the crowd saved him by screaming back his words. He raised the mic again, his voice cracked, shredded, imperfect human. Yeah, I bled, I broke, I lost, but I paid every damn cost. I'm not your mirror, I'm not your clone. This voice is mine, it's mine, alone. For the first time, the echo faltered. The choir stuttered, syllables slipping out of sync. The waveform on the screen glitched, jagged, unstable. Marshall pushed harder, pouring his whole chest into the verse. His voice wasn't pretty, it was scarred. It was ragged, but it was his. The monitors flickered violently. The emergency light burst with a pop, plunging everything into darkness. And in that dark, only one voice remained his. Breathless, raw, imperfect but alive. The screens went dead. The headphones dropped lifeless onto the chair. The studio fell silent, the real kind of silence, not the heavy breathing kind. Marshall sagged against the console, chest rising like he'd just run a marathon. Then on the cracked monitor, one last line flickered in pale white letters. This round is yours. A pause. But every song has an encore. The screen went black. Marshall shoved the mic aside and stumbled out of the booth. His chest heaved, every breath like glass in his lungs. The studio smelled of burnt dust and hot wires. Monitors cracked with static, still twitching on their screens. The silence was real now, or it should have been. No echo, no choir, no phantom beat. Just the faint hum of electricity in the walls. He grabbed his hoodie off the chair, phone off the console, and pushed through the heavy studio door. The hallway outside was dark. Too dark. Emergency lights buzzed weakly, painting the walls in sickly red. His phone lit in his hand. A new notification. Voice memo saved. Finale.wav. He hadn't recorded it. His thumb hovered, but he couldn't play it. Not yet. The exit sign flickered at the end of the hall. He walked toward it, footsteps echoing against the tile. Only he wasn't moving that loud. The echo of his steps was heavier, delayed, like someone walked just behind him. He froze, turned. The hallway was empty, still. His own voice whispered, faint, from everywhere at once. Encore. He bolted, shoved the exit door open, stumbled into the Detroit night. Snow slapped his face, breath steaming in the frozen air. The city was dead quiet, no traffic, no sirens, just silence. He kept walking until the studio was a shadow behind him. His phone buzzed again. The screen glowed white with a single line of text. You won the round. But the song isn't over. The phone shut off by itself. Marshall stood in the snow, shivering, mic still clenched in one hand like a weapon. The night pressed in close, listening, and somewhere in the distance, far too faint to be real, he heard it again, his own voice, rapping bars he hadn't written yet. The echo wasn't gone. It had just moved outside.